At the beginning of the film, we see a lone child, Finn, who has just woken up. Because his father was away at war and his mother passed away when he was a little boy, he and his older brother Jake, who is seeing his brother's girlfriend, MIA, share a home. Finn never skips a day of school and always puts in extra time there. He skips class to annoy his friends Whiteley and Joel instead of studying. The truth is that Whiteley, his red-jacketed friend, asks a female teacher out to dinner. Out of these 3 students, his red-jacketed classmate is the most impolite. Here, though, we see a man whose car has just pulled into the school parking lot. Even while they're in class, Finn and his pals are plotting to scratch the man's car. They proceeded to carelessly carry a knife, despite the fact that it is obviously forbidden. A curse word escaped their lips as they slashed the car, which was unaware of its owner. Absolute silence reigned. Finn, who was unruly and possibly malicious in his behavior, neglected to bring his athletic gear to gym class. But instead of apologizing, Finn goes so far as to use profanity toward his gym teacher. Same goes for his companions. Finn is likewise a real pain. Nobody was any help, not even the gym instructor. MIA, who is dating Finn's brother, invites him to go swimming with her in the afternoon. Due to her strained relationship with her mother, MIA and Jake, who are dating, already reside in the same house. Whatever the case may be, the 3 of them are completely unsupervised by their parents. Therefore, they are free to act in any way they like and their behavior is not constrained. Mr. Gale, a new language instructor, showed up the following day at the institution. On his first day of teaching, Mr. Gale had a rough go of it. To make matters worse, Joel started making fun of Mr. Gale and yelling at him abusively as soon as he started explaining which books to use. Even though Mr. Gale's intention was to educate his students, he was ridiculed and accused of being smelly by his own students. Also in the class, Whiteley sat down in the chair and started yelling at Mr. Gale as soon as he noticed him. Joel skipped the whole classroom and went straight to the front to tuck the gum into Mr. Gale's hair. It doesn't matter if the student is a girl or a boy, the teacher, in this case, will definitely be angry. Insulin belongs to the same class. While suppressing his emotions, Mr. Gale mumbled an angry response. Whiteley, in contrast, felt no pity for Mr. Gale and instead challenged him to a duel. Mr. Gale continued to explain the material they would be studying to the class despite Whiteley's disapproval of his intense stare. After school, Whiteley and Joel went to a store to purchase cigarettes, but they had ulterior motives. In contrast, the store owner caught Finn after he reached for a single bottle of wine. Away from the shop owner's relentless pursuit, the 3 of them dashed to a deserted field, where they were mocked by the neighborhood kids. For the simple reason that Whiteley and Joel are never apart from one another, whether they're at school or not. Their parents aren't keeping an eye on 3 of them, so they're all acting recklessly. On the other hand, Joel is not out of the woods yet, he believes he can recover. Whiteley and FYNN have no idea what they'll do after high school, but Joel claims his dad would send him to military academy. Assuming they are able to graduate with their savage attitude. Just as Finn got home that night, he witnessed Jake enticing MIA to make out. After noticing that Finn remained downstairs, he returned to the room. Actually, Finn is a rather reserved guy when he's at home. Even his brother and MIA rarely hear from him. Because we'll be eating breakfast before heading to class first thing in the morning. Today was his 16th birthday and MIA sent him birthday wishes right away. Conversely, Jake isn't wishing for anything. Even Jake tells Finn he needs to move out and get a roommate. MIA immediately responded that their father was the rightful owner of the house after feeling regret for Jake's remarks. Even though his brother pays the rent, he has already behaved decently, and he is still angry with him. In order to alleviate their boredom, Finn spent the entire day with Whiteley, starting from morning until late. Residents' bicycles are openly destroyed by them. Those who perpetrate atrocities against defenseless individuals exemplify the worst kind of immorality. After finishing, they walked as far as they could along the highway, but out of nowhere, someone slammed their heads from behind. Their captors whisked them away in a car at that moment. Afterwards, Whiteley and Finn, who were already covered in blood, were forcefully led into a room. They were unable to budge an inch due to being encumbered and padlocked. On purpose, that individual also drilled holes in the table to facilitate the use of a thin rope for tying Finn and Whiteley hands. The best way to make them both immobile is to use this method. However, that individual had also arranged a blackboard in the room. After that, Finn looks under his pants and notices that Whiteley is unconscious. Surprisingly, their new teacher, Mr. Gale, is actually the enigmatic figure. Each day, Mr. Gale goes over the lesson's content. Simply said, nouns are the focus today. Mr. Gale then proceeds to demonstrate each item, such as a nail gun, hammer, and nail, with an accompanying example. Unfortunately, Finn only has 10 seconds to look up the definition of the word that Mr. Gale mentioned in the dictionary, and if he can't find it, he will lose all chance of winning. After that, nails will be driven into his hand. Fear and panic gripped Finn as he was tasked with deciphering the inspiration word. Fortunately, Finn persisted in his search and eventually located the word. This is just the beginning. Once Finn locates the word in the dictionary, he needs to read its definition and commit it to memory. At the conclusion of the meeting, Mr. Gale promised to administer a test covering all of the material he covered during the meeting. Without fail, Finn feels compelled to swiftly pull out the dictionary. At the conclusion of the meeting, Mr. Gale promised to administer a test covering all of the material he covered during the meeting. At that point, Mr. Gale issues each of these commands out of the blue. Mr. Gale thinks that intrinsic motivation is essential for educational pursuits. Consequently, he has developed a unique strategy to address the issue of disrespectful students. After that, Finn informs Mr. Gale that Whiteley has been unconscious and dying for quite some time. But Mr. Gale nailed Finn's hand and taped his mouth instead. He claimed he had missed the point of this class and had no idea what was going on. Because nothing worthwhile in life comes easily, Mr. Gale wants his pupils to experience what he calls pain. If Mr. Gale's teaching method is any indication, the 2100 curriculum may already be in place. Following that, he got back to his lesson plans and wrote out detailed explanations on the board. He advises Finn to pull out a dictionary and look up any difficult words. Finn, though, miraculously, always found the words in the allotted 10 seconds. He inquired. Despite his disapproval, Finn was compelled to remain in this condition. All the explanations, though, had to stick in his memory. A 30-second water break is in the schedule for Mr. Gale's class. Both Finn and Whiteley, who was unconscious, were given drinks by Mr. Gale without delay. Mr. Gale's psychopath teaching behavior becomes more heinous as the class continues. The difficulty level has increased, and Finn now has only 7 seconds to locate each word. The punishment would be a nail gun if he was unable to respond. As expected, Finn was unable to respond and was promptly nailed. After Whiteley has been unconscious for a while due to Whiteley's actions, Mr. Gale's emotional condition deteriorates even further. Prior to this, Mr. Gale had purposefully impaled Whiteley's hand with a nail gun. The already chaotic scene became even more so when a second nail was hammered in by hand. Mr. Gale had no desire to teach them either. The reason Finn isn't coming home is a mystery to MIA, who is with Jake. Unfortunately, his phone was inactive when he tried to reach Finn. Jake was envious of MIA the moment he saw the message that MIA sent to Finn, so she sends it in the hopes that it will be read. In his statement, Jake, just why are you on the hunt for Finn? What makes him so special to you? Jake eventually yelled at me and told me to get out of the house. Along with Finn, MIA has threatened to never set foot in the house again and to leave it as soon as possible. Joel, who had walked a long way from Jake's house, was waiting for his father to come and get him when MIA arrived. Joel was fortunate that he didn't have to play with Finn and Whiteley today. His father had invited him to military academy. He then requested that Joel contact Finn, but Finn never answered. Yeah. We can see from this that even a companion will only join us in our joy if we allow it. However, very few friends are prepared to lend us a hand when times get tough. Next, he sets out on a solitary nighttime walk in the hopes of running into Finn. Some time later, she spotted a parked car with visible dings on its trunk. Still, MIA was abruptly pursued by a man from a distance, and she escaped as best she could. Mr. Gale was obviously the man who caught her, which was a major setback. After that, they drew Neil into the room and pinned him to their side. Someone would be searching for Finn or Whiteley, according to Mr. Gale. As expected, the much-anticipated victim had unintentionally shown up. There were 3 students from Mr. Gale this time. Rather than becoming more interesting, educational pursuits are becoming more cruel. Mr. Gale then instructed Whiteley to look up the definition in the dictionary. Nevertheless, Whiteley proceeded to rap Mr. Gale's skull against his own. Using a nail gun, Mr. Gale quickly shot Whiteley in the neck. It was evident from this that Whiteley had to die under such delirious circumstances with a nail stuck in his neck. According to Mr. Gale, his parents' expectations of him led him to become this way because they made him study too much. Consequently, he will impart knowledge in such a harsh manner to students who exhibit laziness. Now that the test has begun, Finn must act swiftly in order to answer all of the questions. For both Finn and me, this final session is an incredibly nerve-wracking experience. Just before it starts, Mr. Gale warns her that MIA will be the one to pay if she gives him the wrong answers. Surprisingly, MIA will have her head pricked with a nail just for asking one question. Finn expertly responded to each and every one of Mr. Gale's questions. Mr. Gale took great pride in the fact that his method had successfully mocked genius during that period. In the background, MIA was planning to steal the nail from Whiteley's neck. Upon taking it, MIA wasted no time in driving the nail into Mr. Gale's neck. In addition, release the rope from Finn's grasp. However, MIA was unlucky enough to be struck on the back of the head by a hammer. Time was of the essence, so Finn withdrew his hand from the nail. Finn also caught the knife that had fallen and proceeded to sever Mr. Gale's thumbs, which were hanging loose, right away. Using his bare hands to take anything would be a challenge for him. The foolish thing is that Finn gave Mr. Gale permission to stand up while they were claiming the key as their means of escape. However, Mr. Gale was dishonest and repeatedly trodden on Finn. The good news is that MIA was conscious again and wasted no time hammering Mr. Gale. Over and over again, she pounded Mr. Gale with an emotional punch that would crush his skull. MIA discovered the cookie that would allow her to escape from the house, and she also managed to kill Mr. Gale at that time. During the wee hours of the morning, they made their way home by themselves down the street. The best part is that they both ejected Jake from the house the moment they returned. Why not? Jake can only maintain his composure and offer no assistance. After some time spent watching TV, the movie came to a close. Alright, everyone, I really hope you all liked the video. Much thanks for your time. Reconvene with you in the subsequent video.